Hi, this is János, it's Real Audio, and I'm sharing a driver find. I received a really nice suggestion for a driver for the Voigt pipes, and it is the SEAS Prestige F8 RCZ, and it's an 8-inch full range driver. And in the comment I got the question whether this would work instead of the Cube Audio, because he tried making a computer simulation and both gave the same results. So could this sound even better than the Cube Audio Fc8 in the Voigt pipe? And actually I looked at this driver, and it's a very nice driver. I think it's a beautiful driver. It looks just like a Fostex copy with a much smaller magnet, and let's see about it. So when we look at the parameters, when they list the sensitivity rating at that 2.83 volts per meter bogus scale, and when you look at the impedance, it's less than nominal 8 ohms, or which translates to something lower than that when you look at the voice coil resistance. But when I look at the voice coil resistance of the Fostex, it is 7.2 ohms, and looking at the voice coil resistance of the SEAS, it's 5.7 ohms. So it's like almost like an ohm and a half lower than the Fostex. So this sensitivity, when we convert it to the useful watt per meter scale, it's really something about like 93 dB, or maybe a tiny bit less. So it does not have that efficiency or that sensitivity as an equivalent Fostex driver would have, and that's kind of obvious because it has a much smaller magnet. And when we look at the data, it says the magnetic gap flux density is 1.1 Tesla, and when you look at the Fostexes, that's about 1.5 Tesla. So that's a way stronger and way more powerful motor there. And when we look at the Cube Audio driver, it's 2 Tesla. So the Cube Audio driver has an enormously strong, incredibly strong motor, and even though the computer simulation would give like a similar frequency response, but what the simulation does not tell is that how can that driver deliver that response. So how can it match it to the room, and is there energy behind it, or just trying to make waves without much force behind them? I don't know if this little allegorical explanation was useful or not, because what I have found is that computer simulations do give ideas how we can use loudspeakers, which drivers will be suitable in a cabinet, and as far as simulations go, that it simulated the same as the Cube Audio driver, it means that it will almost 100%, I would say 99% likely that it worked extremely well in the cabinet, because the Cube Audio worked extremely well and I simulated the same, but it's not predictive at all about the sound quality that you would hear. However, looking at the driver structure, how the driver is made, what are the materials choices, I would give a big thumbs up for this driver. It would be very nice sounding, however, it's not in the same league as the Cube Audio, and that's primarily because it has almost the half of the motor strength of the Cube Audio, and that is monstrous. So there's like a monstrous difference between the energy handling capability of the two drivers. And one more thing about the Cube Audio driver which has tremendous advantage is the unusual suspension that the Cube Audio has, which is done in a way that regardless of the excursion of the driver, the amount of force that the suspension exerts on it, restricts the cone movement, stays the same, even when you have tiny cone movement or when you have big cone movements. And with the regular spiders, which are like the Sears Prestige or even the Fostexes, or name it 99.99% of the drivers on the market, when you have very small cone movements, there is very little restriction on the cone, but as the excursion gets longer, then the restriction shoots up almost exponentially. And it means that you will get dynamic compression and distortion in the sound as well. So that's why the Cube Audio driver has a really special strength to it, that as the going gets tougher, it can handle it. And for other drivers, as the going gets tougher, they got embarrassed. So that's one thing, and that's why the Cube Audio driver breaks those barriers which are associated with both an 8-inch driver as far as how much air it can move or how much energy it can project, how much low frequencies can it generate, because it is not just the driver, the cone surface area, how much air it can move, but also that when you are pushing it to move as much as it can, you are already running into that problem that the surround and the spider is restricting it a lot. Oh, maybe I think now I might need to correct myself, because it is the spider that is radically different in the Cube Audio, not the surround. It has a foam surround, which is like a really light surround as well, but what I wanted to say, but probably I didn't say, I'm still in quite a bit of pain at the moment. It doesn't really show my smile, but it affects my thinking. So it's the spider that's different in the Cube Audio compared to the other drivers, and that spider allows the cone to travel without the usual limitations when you are pushing the driver high. And can you push the driver high? Yes, in the case of Cube Audio you can, because it has 2 Teslas of magnetic strength driving it. And in the case of the stairs, we have about half the magnetic strength. So when the going gets tougher, then it will lose power, lose strength. So the nominal sensitivity appears to be a bit higher in the case of the stairs, and that will show only when you are listening to it quietly and the cone doesn't need to travel. Then you won't hear that much of a difference between the Cube Audio and the stairs. Actually you still will, because it still has the Cube Audio still has much more stronger, much more potent control over the cone than the cells, and even at low volumes that will still show, but the difference won't be that big. You would think that okay, they are more similar, but as you keep on adding the volume, also you keep on adding a lot of bass, then the cells won't be able to handle it anymore, and the Cube Audio will be able to handle it like crazy. So what it can do is really goes beyond what 8-inch drivers can do. So I think that's something that is I'm not saying reflected on its price, because what is reflected on the price is like that it's really hand built and designed by the company, and it's not just paying a Chinese company a lump sum to make like 50,000 drivers, and there you go, some people like I don't know, just manufacturing for you on a giant plant, a bunch of drivers. But this is like these guys in Poland putting in their hard work and making them one by one, and not on a giant floor. I mean, like a giant factory, some unskilled workers like putting together thousands of them every day. And this is like much fewer guys putting in much higher skill level to put them together, and it really shows in the sound. And of course it's not happening, you know, just out of thin air. They need to pay their workers, and as if you have tried to do anything by yourself, you realize that if you need to feed yourself in your Western world, it doesn't come free. And if you need to run a company, that doesn't come free. So that's why when you look at companies who make their custom drivers, they can be much more expensive, and that's because of the much more limited series of the driver. So I hope that was helpful, and have an amazing day. Bye bye.